and they're going like way too slow in front of me. They are called something else, along with the Honda. No, Jazz. Sorry, I said the one I wasn't meant to say.
Hey everybody, it's John Lamberton here alongside my good friend and business partner, Mr. Jason Brockman. We are here for another episode of the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast, where as always, it is our job to help you get more customers and make more money without just working harder. So without further ado, let's dive straight into this month's episode.
Hey everybody, we have a first for you on the AOB podcast today. We have our very first doctor as a guest, not counting Dr. Locks, who was on our last podcast. Don't worry, we are not turning into Diary of a CEO podcast, talking about the one food to eat to guarantee you're going to live forever. No, we have the doctor of comedy coaching. Is that the right phrase there for you? Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. David Lowe is here, business coach, coaching educator, whose research focuses on using humour in coaching. Quite what he's learned from the test subjects that are myself and Jason. I have no idea. David, welcome to the AOB podcast.
Thank you very much. You were not participants, so don't worry, people. I did find something.
David, you've been self-employed now for well over a decade. I would love to start today's conversation just taking you back to kind of those early days, a couple of years after you started. What was the business like? What was life like at that time?
A young family. We'd moved recently out to Oxfordshire from London, so it was a 2-hour each way commute into London, leaving the kids and my wife sometimes in bed, asleep in the nice warm house as I went out into the freezing cold most of the time. And loved the work, loved what I was working on, loved the people I was working with, most of them. And it was a slog, but I still had my own business, right? I could choose what I was doing. But yeah, you could say that the commute was pretty brutal. Getting up about 6 o'clock, getting ready, getting to a 10 to 20 minute, depending on which train station I went to for a drive. So I had to de-ice the car if it was that cold, which it often is in Oxfordshire. 45-minute train journey. And then because I never took the sensible option, apart from once, and got a job actually in Paddington, which is where the train station is. Of course, I went to East London, Shoreditch and stuff like that. So it was a 2 hours pretty much every time I went in, 2 hours. And once I got to work, I was fully awake. Could never understand how people were late for a 9 o'clock meeting when I managed to come 2 hours and still be on time. But we won't go there. And yeah, stuff was going on at home. So sometimes, you'd get calls from the school or whatever else. Luckily, my wife at the time, no, I don't mean that. My wife was at the time not working. I've only had one wife. I do refer to her as my first wife. Yesterday, which my kids looked at me as if to say, "What does that mean?" But yeah, she was at home a lot of the time, so that was okay. But yeah, then I'd get home at 8 o'clock. Must admit, I'm sure other people have got this as well. When you're that far away from home and you finish work, you kind of don't want to leave not because you're tied to the job, but because it's a 2-hour journey home, and you just think, I'll just put that off for another half an hour. So I'd leave at 6, get home at 8. In the early days, kids were going to bed. One of them was 2 or 3 years old at that point, so I'd get to see them most of the time. But then I'd get home and cook the food and etc. So yeah, it was pretty much get up, go to work, get up, go to work, get up, go to work.
And that commute's not really nice either, because at 6 o'clock, everybody's going home at the same time. And I have had that unfortunate visit to London and been on the tube at that silly o'clock. And that's not the best time. So leaving it another hour afterwards is probably something that you'd want to do. But yeah, that really does mess
then I'm getting home at 9 o'clock, Jason, aren't I?
Yeah.
You've brought this all, you're bringing this all, but I'm going to need to step up my therapy sessions again now, because those remembered getting on at Paddington to go out of London was, sometime, it was like, let's squeeze ourselves on. I did find a solution, by the way. Here's a handy hint. If you are commuting in and out and it's busy and you're finding you're having to stand up a lot, what you do is you pay 2 times as much and go first class, and you can normally get a seat and a free sandwich and a coffee. hey, what's £1,000 a week when you want to commute into London?
Free shortbread biscuits
that was back then. So who knows what it is now? But yes, it wasn't great. Although first class did make it more bearable. Got to be honest. Still no.
So what changed then? What was there a tipping point? Was there a moment where you just thought, I can't do this anymore? Something's got to change.
Well, this is the problem though, because I did enjoy what I was doing, and I did enjoy the work. I did enjoy the people, but it was, I'm getting older. I know I don't look it for those who are listening to the podcast. But I'm getting older, and I just thought, well, how can I improve this? And I'd started doing more teaching than coaching. And it then started to step up that actually there was quite a demand for the teaching that I was doing. And I'm talking adult teaching. I'm not talking, schools. And then I found that I could kind of mix these. I could work part-time with the clients or even multiple clients, which is quite hard because then you have to try and remember which client was doing what. And, that had its own problems as well. But I could step up the teaching. And so then I would be still going away, but I'd be going to Holland or Norway or wherever else. But then I got to the beautiful point of working 5 days. All I had to do was work 5 days a month. 5 days a month was all I had to do. So this was early 2019. And of course, I didn't just work 5 days a month, but I had my office where I am now in a business park, 10 minutes away from home. So I still could get away from the kids. I mean, I could still get away and had a space of my own. It's okay. The kids and my wife won't listen to this podcast. I'm safe. Damn, I've just realized that I've given people a blackmailing opportunity there. So they're still doing work, but then I was in control of my own times, right? I could take the kids to school and then I could go into the office, or I could have breakfast with my wife, or we could do whatever else we wanted to, because it was on my terms. Of course, I had to do those 5 days a month where I couldn't choose, when or where. You can cope with that, right? Even I could cope with 5 days a month, I found out. And so that was brilliant. Start of 2019, I was thinking, I've made it. I've done it. This is what I wanted. The millions can come later. I don't really care about that. What I want is I'm in control. I'm earning enough that we can live the life. My wife's at home. The kids are at school. Smart one. Perfect. What could go wrong? Early 2019. I can't imagine anything that could go wrong with this plan. I mean, maybe I'd get ill. Well, it's okay because I was insured for that. I had it all covered.
As long as the rest of the world doesn't get ill, you're fine, aren't you?
Well, how likely is that, John? Come on, be realistic.
Well, I remember seeing some news story. I think it was New Year's Eve, 2019, 2020, and there was something in China, and we all laughed at it. And went, this super virus coming. What are you talking about?
Don't remember this at all. Sorry, fill me in.
Do you see the sheen on my hands there? That's what I achieved by washing my hands 17 times a day for 18 months.
I mean,
but some of us can blur, Dave, wasn't
it? Well, let's not go down there. Yes, yes. My office.
Your daily commute was really, really quiet for a long time,
and no one was in. Yeah. And it was really hard to get to Holland. I had to walk one time. No. Yes, of course, we all know what happened at the end of 2019. So, but it started. Yeah. I got a few months of this ideal world. I think it was from March 2019 that I had this 5 days a week. 5 days a month situation. And then, it all blew up, of course. Not just blew up as in it got harder, but it just disappeared overnight pretty much. People couldn't travel. People had been coming from, America for my courses. They'd been coming from Singapore for the courses. I'd been flying out to around Europe. They couldn't come in. I couldn't go out. In-person training, which was all we were doing at the time because no one did online training. Who'd want to do that? Right? I want to meet the people. I want to see I want to be able to have a coffee and stuff like that. Overnight, pretty much all disappeared. And there was a lot of fear as well, right? I don't want people to have to see my therapist. Although if you do need a therapy, I'll put you in touch with her. She's very good. But I don't want to bring it all back. But it was horrible. Absolute nightmare. And luckily we managed to, I know the term's overused, but pivot to be able to do online courses. But the numbers were low because, people were just fearful, a bit like now. People were fearful to spend money because they don't know what's coming next, right? We've got AI not on the horizon. We've got AI here and people are worried about what that's going to do. I really hope we're not looking back and going, David was talking about this that's looming around the corner. But yeah, it was problematic that whole time for various reasons. Do you want me to go into why?
Yeah.
What you might.
I was going to say, it wasn't all bad. I mean, I know the family blossomed during that time, and having you back at home kind of thing for lots of it too. And the kids thoroughly enjoyed the lockdown scenario with little schoolwork to do and stuff like that. So actually, it wasn't all bad, and that's probably an example that's reflected across the country and across the world. But like you said, you did need to find some money to come in from somewhere, and that's the key to everybody had that same thing. 1% Club flourished through that time because we had a lot of business owners to support their journey through that, whether they were in hospitality or baking or wherever that may be, events, the whole kind of shebang really. Everyone had to kind of find a way. So online stuff was the natural pivot for that word that we used. Was there ever a word before 2020? I don't know, but that was the natural pivot.
Yeah. I mean, the kids were talking about this the other day when they said, apart from the death toll that happened, it was there was some good about. I can't remember the phrasing they used. They didn't say it was brilliant, but it was that kind of thing, and because they remember. One of them finished their schoolwork really quickly and then had the rest of the day. The other one just didn't do her schoolwork. So that was, hey, no one's checking up on me really that much. And then they would spend the rest of the time, I don't know, in a swimming costume running around in the garden or something. It was great.
I maintain that the best thing that the government did in terms of having a lockdown was arranging it or aligning it with a heat wave.
Wasn't it? It was incredible. It was an incredible summer. But and we got a dog just as lockdown hit. We got our new dog, who is obviously, him, he's world famous. And it was, there were some great things, but there was that constant fear of I've got no money coming in and what the hell? And how long is it going to happen? All of those things that we talked about. So, but the bigger problem with what I was doing was, when I was training in person, so before COVID, I was not being big-headed. Well, why not being? I'm really good at what I do, and I'm top of the tree in terms of teaching the courses I was teaching. And so people would fly across the world to come. Right? Maybe they were also coming because it was in London as well, and they fancied a little holiday. But it meant that my numbers were always high. Sometimes I could run the same course twice in a month. Full capacity. And the problem with then going online is that whole barrier was removed, right? Because people then didn't have to hire a venue, right? Someone who's not as good at training or as knowledgeable wouldn't train because they'd have to book the venue and it was a risk and all of that stuff. Of course, all of that disappeared with online training. So anyone could train pretty much. And then it became a price war. It was who's going to sell it for the cheapest. And we didn't play that game because I've got some self-worth for a start. But so numbers then were low because as well as people not wanting to spend money because they were worried about what they were going to have in the future, people who just were chasing the certificates would then go for the cheaper one. So, and that hasn't disappeared. So that's still harming the training business and probably will forever now because anyone can teach it from anywhere. And okay, the quality is not as good, but if you're just trying to get a tick in the box, then hey, done it, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that's just about box ticking then, isn't it? It isn't about the education that you're getting. It isn't about that experience that you're learning. It isn't about the experience of the trainer, really. It's just actually, no, I need to do this course. I'm going to tick this box and well, there I am. I'm off and done. Is that a COVID thing? Is that what I mean? Obviously, beforehand,
No,
you had people flying along, but it just that tick boxing exercise. It's just like where's that come from?
I think there's always going to be people who want to say that they can do this thing because they've been on a 2 or 3 day course, right? I mean, that even when it's in person, that's still not a good attitude, right? I've gone along to a 2 or 3 or week course and now I'm an expert. Well, of course you're not, but it's a shame.
It just seems the only box ticking one I've ever done is a speed awareness course once. I think where you just kind of had to go along and sit at the back and be there. But that's the only one I've ever done.
Yeah, well, but that's you, Jason, and I wouldn't expect anything else from you. But I don't think the three of us are typical of everybody in the world. I mean, most people do come along because they want to learn, and the fact that they then participate in meetups or communities afterwards show that they do actually want to learn and they do want to further themselves. So, but there are some people out there who would just go along for the certificate to say they've got it. So
again, that's the survivorship bias still there, isn't it? Because the people who are engaging and are staying to the end and do want to learn are the people you've attracted. It's the people you haven't attracted because you're not the cheapest who wouldn't want to learn and wouldn't stay to the end and don't engage with the cohort. They are there to tick the boxes, but those aren't your clients. And that's one of the things that you've learned there.
I would have got some. I mean, there were always some who came for the box ticking. Again, because the pool was smaller of trainers. Yeah. And, we're not, we're not the Bugatti of training. I'm not, we wasn't ridiculous, but it was more that I don't want to go down this route because I don't know enough about cars.
Lexus, I don't know, is that, like a luxury?
I don't feel that that's a compliment, John, to be honest.
Hey, look, I drive a Toyota, so it's like a Toyota, which is reliable, works, will last forever.
I was going to say Volvo, John, really.
Built, but luxury as well. It's got leather seats.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I was going to say Volvo, but that implies reliability. And, with humour as a topic, there's always a chance of overstepping the mark, isn't there? But let's move off this. At least I wasn't the Fiat Pinto. Is that what it was called? Anyway.
That's not what I call a Picanto driver as I see them and they're going like way too slow in front of me. They are called something else, along with the Honda Jazz. No, Jazz. Sorry, I said the one I wasn't meant to say.
Well, you've already told me off. You've already told me off in the preamble about this, about what I'm not allowed to say. So I'm not going down that route.
I was trying so hard to not say that I actually said what I wasn't meant to say.
I'm not convinced about that. If you'd watched the video, people, it didn't look like he was trying that hard. It looked like he knew exactly what he was about to say. Not that I'm a specialist in reading faces and humour cues or anything like that, but I'm not buying that.
Humour. Good, you mentioned that again. Because top of the tree, it's really good to sit there and it's really good to be the best in at what you do, but you haven't stopped there at all. You've continually grown. And I think the last 5 years you've found some other direction and you've found other things. And actually, we introduced you as Dr. David Lowe. That's happened recently. So fabulous. Well done. But that's all about humour, isn't it? And you've diversified, but you haven't. You've actually niched down. How's that all come about?
Yeah, so again, we were talking about this the other day about how it's diversified and specialised, which is contradictory, right? You can't do both of those. But the courses are wider. I mean, I used to teach a foundational coaching course and some other courses. But I've now kind of, the topic is still the same. I'm still in that area, but I've moved out and doing more of those. So I suppose it's that whole kind of, what is it, T-shaped people talk about? It's kind of, I'm very focused on the one topic, but there's a broad selection of courses now. And so before I started the 3-year course, Jason, we should add this. Before I started the 3-year doctorate, research doctorate, I've been interested in this humour stuff. In a previous coaching, my postgrad, I'd looked at, one of the essays was on humour in coaching because I was quite interested in that whole topic. And after that, it then kept coming up. And lovely colleague of mine, we were doing some coaching as a demo, and she said to me, "It's funny because when you're teaching, humor is a massive part of what you do. You're engaging people, and it's a plus. And when you're mentoring, to some extent, you're doing that, right? So mentoring being I'm sharing some of my experiences. But when you're coaching, which is not directing anyone, just asking them to go through those processes. I'm sorry if I'm teaching grandmas to suck eggs here, but I just wanted to be clear of what I mean by coaching. She said, you strip out the humor a lot. There's a lot less humor going on when you're coaching. And so this kept playing on my mind. I kept seeing then, of course, that I was using humor in teaching a lot and all these other things, but then not really using it in coaching. And so I thought, right, I'd like to know more about that. And again, this was just before COVID, when I had loads of time because I was only going to be working 5 days a month. I had all of that time to spend doing research. I started a doctorate. So I jumped into the third year of a 5-year doctorate. Did take me 5 years because, of course, as we've just talked about, there was a lot of other stuff going on that I had to actually try and earn some money to survive. And so, yes, it did take me 5 years, I think, was the pretty much to the day to finish doing it. But yeah, it's looking at the use of humor in coaching. So not jokes, it's not pre-planned stuff, it's spontaneous humor. And most of the time we're talking about the client who's using humor rather than the coach, but it's both ways. So I will share a little bit, shall I? Because I feel otherwise that might be mean. But I found that there's a few areas in coaching. There's a chunk about relationship building. There's an element of support. There's an element of, I call it inquiry, kind of challenge, clarification, all of that stuff. And then there's a focus on growth, whether that's achieving a goal or becoming yourself or whatever else it is. And humor was very much in the first three of those. Didn't really see a lot of humor in that achievement part, possibly because you don't want to belittle someone's achievements, right? You don't want to laugh and make fun of that. Now, there was no research in coaching, so I had to look at other fields. I had to look at healthcare and emergency services and military and all of that stuff, because there's loads of research being done in those fields and in business, but nothing in coaching, nothing of any value in coaching. So again, there wasn't a lot about achievement in humor in achievement. There was one, right? If a patient had survived cancer, then the doctor might joke about how it was in the past. But again, it wasn't really used. But yeah, very much used in building that relationship from both sides, client and coach. Support the client using it a lot, kind of saying, laughing at the situation they're in to kind of say it's okay. And more by the coach when we're challenging. If we've got that relationship that we've built, then we can kind of, make a joke about the situation that they're in as a way of challenging it. So there were lots of times when it was used. And I've got a series of 12 webinars starting today that people can watch about the findings if they wish. Got the advert in there.
That's it. Get your plug in, mate. Get your monetization.
You didn't do the how.
Didn't do the how what?
How do you get those 12 webinars?
Well, there'll be a link in the notes to this podcast, I'm assuming.
There will be. Okay, fair enough.
There will be now.
You weren't going to shout out about LinkedIn or anything like that.
On LinkedIn, yes. And everywhere else. You see, Jason, this is why I need you to be my advertising guru.
They're on the internet, people. Just find them on the interwebs.
Just search David Lowe. It's not like there's loads of people with the same name. If you put in David Lowe coach, then you'll find it.
Or Dr. David Lowe.
Who knows? It's only been since November. I've only had it a couple of months, so who knows if Google has caught up yet. So yes, and I would just like to do, I know you're going to get so embarrassed about this, but you did help me. You did help me through that doctorate. We turned the focus. I was part of the 1% Club, and we were talking about business and evergreen assets, and I'd written a few books and all of that kind of stuff. But then we switched it to focus on the doctorate, and of course, I had my supervisory team at uni. But hats off to you.
Was that primarily was that accountability? Do you think?
Yes. Yeah, and of course, I had the accountability of wanting to finish and get to these steps. The problem with it is, and this is, I think people will recognize this, when you enjoy what you're doing, and I love the topic, I'd chosen to do it not to further my business. That wasn't the reason I did the doctorate. I did the doctorate because I was fascinated by the topic. I was interested by it, and learning is one of my core values. And the problem is then, when you're enjoying yourself, you don't want to stop. Right? And the supervisory team at uni, were good to try and push me. And I was saying, I've got to end at this point because I was paying for this all as well, right? I mean, doctorate cost me about £50,000. So, and that's not buying a doctorate. You could probably get a doctorate if you buy. I know, I shouldn't say that. That's slander. Certainly not from where I was. You couldn't buy a doctorate. You could edit that bit out. Yes. So, I've forgotten where I was going. Yes, accountability, because I could have carried on doing this forever, but my wife would have killed me and my kids would have killed me because it's taken quite a lot of my focus for 5 years. So
it was really good because we had the weekly calls with me. The framework we followed was our 90-day plan. You took that business planning part and applied it to the doctorate, and actually, it was something we were able to get you across that line, which. You may well not have done if you hadn't have kind of put that focus, switched that focus to it really. It's not easy to do. I mean, I don't suppose anyone expects a doctorate to be easy to do, but getting through it, there's a fair few of my friends and family even who have started this and spent quite a lot of time doing it, but not got it over the line. So, hey, what more do you want, Jason? You've got to mention in the bloody acknowledgements of the thesis. Come on, don't milk it, mate. Okay.
You mentioned core values just now, David. One of our core values within the 1% Club and everything we do is fun. We want to have fun. And
one of my top one, John, as well. My top value, fun.
There you go. It's and I'm looking right now, at my vision board for 2026. And on there, I have 2 images of myself and Jason absolutely creased up, laughing. Predominantly, I don't know what I'm doing in one of them, but I know the other one is the photographer said to myself and Jason, right, give us your best serious, like you're going on The Apprentice face. And we held it for 0.3 of a second, Jason. And just absolutely creased up. But that is there to remind me, because my word of the year, as spoke about on the Christmas podcast, is enjoyment. I want to enjoy this year. I want to have fun. I want to put that humour in. We were chatting, Jason and I were chatting with one of our long-time 1%ers last week. Now, this 1%er had an awful time about 3.5 years ago. Massive fire, lost his business premises, lost his house. I think it was his parents' house as well. Just awful time. Lost everything in this massive fire. Came on a hot seats call with us the next week, at which point I might have said a comment about, and the hottest seat in the hot seats is. But without us having that relationship with that client, that we can poke fun and we can have that little bit of jest, that would have been very, very poorly received, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to have that relationship, haven't you? That's and there was in the research there were stories of people who thought they had that relationship and didn't have the relationship, and well, you'll have to read the thesis. Actually, you can't, because it's.
Can I get ChatGPT to summarise it for me?
There is. Well, actually, here's another plug. There is a video on the internet. Through my LinkedIn page, especially, of me. I did a sketch note, lots of sketch notes about my research, because that's how I think in pictures generally. And I did a sketch note of all of across the whole thesis. So there's a 7-minute video, I think there is, of me walking you through the sketch note, explaining how I did it, what I did, what I found. So there we go. Even better. You don't need ChatGPT. You've got me. That's going to be my strap line. You don't need ChatGPT. You've got me.
I was just looking for the credit line. That was all I wanted, really. The rest of it, I don't know about. But
don't think I put it on there, actually, Jason. Yeah, that would have been another 5 minutes of me saying how wonderful you were. Yeah, I just think it's getting embarrassing, Jason, about how I'm saying how much, how wonderful you are. My wife's starting to question what's going on between us.
The current Mrs. Lowe, yeah.
No, my first wife is all I said. Well, yeah, it's the same. But it's still not. I hate these interviews, podcasts, whatever you want to call them, where people are coming on going, it's wonderful. It's that. It's the Instagram approach, right, where everything's marvelous. It is still not, right? It's been a brutal, and I know it has for many people, including your fire 1%er, right? It has been a brutal few years, right? COVID and Brexit as well also didn't help, because trying to sell stuff and your services into Europe when it's all changed was also problematic, and other things that are going on. I think we could say it's an unstable geopolitical situation at the moment, without any exaggeration, right? It's still really hard, and I'm still picking up the pieces after COVID and Brexit. And part of the doctorate was thinking, I want something for me as well, so that I enjoy what I'm doing. Again, fun. Well, fun, learning, and achievement are my 3 values, with fairness very close after that. And I'm kind of now, well, as you know, reviewing, or I'm going to say a restart up is where I'm at now, really. So 2026, finished the doctorate. The Viva was 19th of November last year. So finished that year, tidying up that stuff. Last week, a week ago today, was the start of 2026 for me. And I've got, as you would say, evergreen assets coming out my ear rolls, right? And it's now a case of, right, how am I going to re-establish myself and the business? So you're going to be really busy, you two, this year, sorting me out, because it's basically my life is very similar. My work life is very similar to my loft at the moment. It's very full. There's a lot of good stuff in it, but flipping heck, it's a mess. I nearly went there, didn't I? But yes, what a mess it is. And so it needs a good old tidy up. And so that's what we're coming on to. So this is part 1 of the podcast. Part 2 is once I am back to that 5 days a week situation. No, sorry, 5 days a month. I've got to reframe that. 5 days a week at the moment would be good, right? But yes, once I've got back to that, more in control. So if it doesn't happen, people, it's Jason and John's fault as well as mine.
I'll take that credit too. Where's that direction? What does that look like? What does that future hold now? Obviously, you've invested lots of time in yourself. You've done lots of fun stuff. You've learnt lots, achieved now. What does that now look like for you?
So using what I've learned, so again, doing this webinar later on and getting some speaking gigs around. There's also more research doing, which is another thing I'd like actually put in the notes on this, if I can, is a link to the next stage of research, which is not at university yet. It's independent, my own research, which is looking at how humour is used globally. So at the moment, I was only looking at coaching in the UK because I'm in the UK, but I want to compare it to humour around the world. So you don't have to be a coach for this research, and it's a very short questionnaire. There's going to be a bit of quantitative, like you fill in a questionnaire, and then I'm going to work out what that all means, and then go out and actually speak to real humans and interview them and stuff just to validate it. But I would love people. I'm looking for like kind of a few thousand people to complete this. So please, if you are interested in humor and you live in the world, please go to this questionnaire, which is in the notes, and give me, 5 minutes of your time. That's probably all it's going to be. I can't remember what you asked me. Oh, what's next? Yes, so lots of coaching. I've got an amazing coaching program now, which is out, and we are starting to fill that up for our 3 cohorts that we've got going on this year, and a bit of speaking going out, and a load of coaching. So getting back to what I really enjoy doing, although I'm probably going to have to work more than 5 days a month, just for now, until we get it back on its feet.
I think that's why.
I'm sure there's other stuff as well, right? What?
I think that's why you keep saying 5 days a week. I think you're subconsciously telling yourself, if you can't do a 5 day work month.
Well, and it was never a 5-day work month. I should clarify that, right? But, the other 15 days would be writing a book or, I don't know, doing some research or whatever else. It was not, I wasn't on the golf course, but that doesn't interest me. And I know that your lifestyle pitch is that you can do whatever it is you want. I don't intend to not work the rest of the time, right? But it is, again, walking the dog and stuff fine before I start work. So the day's squeezed in a little bit, which is nice. But yeah, it's not that I'm going to sit on my arse for the rest of the time because that's just not me. But I'm not allowed to do another doctorate, I've been told.
Yeah.
But she doesn't know about the research yet. So that's okay. Nobody tell her.
I think, Jace, you said on our Christmas podcast, it's the difference between you choose to do something, you get to do something versus you have to. So you have to work 5 days a month. You choose to work more than that, but it is that choice. You're not restricted. You're not. Your business is not insisting that you have to in order to keep the lights on.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing I'm very glad about, and I will give the nod to my family. I know I joke around a lot about this, but there was amazing support because a friend of mine who's early 50s retired last year, and he's a lovely guy, but in his words, he spent all of his life so far, mucking in doing this job. I'm not going to say what it was because in case his colleagues are listening, I don't want him to get in trouble. But, he'd basically been crunching numbers. Let's say he was an accountant, right? I know you've got a load of accountants and 1%, so I'm not being rude, but I'm just going to pick that as an example. But, he's now doing all of the things he wanted to do. He's now learning to play the piano. He's now learning, all of those things. And I've taken the alternative route. I mean, he is minted now, though, so he can afford to do all those things. But I've chosen to have the fun, which you were talking about, throughout my work. And even when I was doing those 2 hours commute, I was still making it fun because I was doing stuff in that commute. And I think, for me, that's important, that I maybe shouldn't have been, but I've been trying to live the lifestyle even when it wasn't exactly how I wanted to be. I still didn't just want to work, go to work. And that's just not in my nature. And I know it is for some people, and that's great. You work really hard. You hope you get to retirement, and then you enjoy yourself. It's quite a risk, though, isn't it?
Definitely. And again, I keep coming back to that as core values. If one of your core values is fun, even if you're doing a 15-hour day with a 2-hour commute each way, you're going to find a way to make that fun. Or if you don't find a way to make that fun, you are not living according to your values. Your values are not just about the ambitious lifestyle business. It's about your life. And if you're not living in alignment with that values, and the me 10 years ago would have said, "Oh, piss off with your airy fairy woo bloody values bollocks." We're going to have to put a swear filter on this podcast now, so I'm putting some more money in the jar there. But now I see it again and again, and it's because I wrote The False Exit. When I first started writing that, I thought values was going to be a couple of pages, just an aside, and it ended up being the foundation of the entire framework. Because the more I dove into values, the more I realised just how fundamental they are to living a life that is true to you.
Yeah. Hurrah to that.
Hurrah indeed. Our last question of the day is the one we ask all of our guests.
No, you can't have another prescription for your pile cream, Jason. I'm not that kind of doctor. I've told you time and time again, you have to go to a medical doctor for that.
Well, you shouldn't have checked first, should you? The Ambitious Lifestyle Business podcast that we have. What does an ambitious lifestyle business look like for you?
I didn't listen to the question at all because I was looking at John pretending to put massive rubber gloves on before I checked your. Anyway, yeah. What was the question? What does an ambitious lifestyle look like to me?
Ambitious lifestyle business look like for you? Yeah.
It is that. It's that. Well, first of all, having the fun. Right? It's got to be. I mean, I've got a puppet over there that looks like me. I know you've met little Dave before, but if you're not enjoying yourself, then what's the point? You might as well just give up now. I probably shouldn't say that. That's encouraging people just to give up. But for me, I don't see the point if I'm not enjoying myself. And or I should say, if other people aren't enjoying themselves, it's not just about me having fun at other people's expense, some kind of monster. We should be having fun. And that's a whole nother line of research, by the way. But anyway, I'm not interested in the Ferrari. I don't really, as I've said, I don't really know much about cars. But I'm not interested in those kind of things, the boat and stuff. As I've read one of your books, John, maybe in the past, and you talk about, being able to hire the yacht, right, rather than own the yacht. Yeah, fine. I mean, that's all good. I'd like to be going on decent holidays and having a nice survival, I suppose. But enjoying ourselves has got to be number one.
As mantras go, having a nice survival, I think, is the most unique we've had on the AOB podcast.
Well, there is that. I mean, the future is very uncertain at the moment for a lot of us. And so, I'm setting the bar quite low, John. An adequate, what did I say? A nice survival. Happy survival, fun survival. Yeah. I'm going to change it to a fun survival. There we go.
That's more like it. Enjoy surviving.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, if you can't do that, then maybe you need to take a look at yourself, people. But enjoyment has to be fun, enjoyment, whatever we want to call it. It's very different from humour, by the way, but it is about fun and enjoying yourself for me. But having that freedom, that autonomy. Let's face it, that's what we're all talking about, isn't it? And how many times that comes up in your books, John? I reckon that's probably a frequent word, along with the
buffet, and cake, and argo, I think.
Yeah. Yes.
Love it.
Yeah.
So, David, Lowe, thank you very much for being a fun guest on our Ambitious Lifestyle Business podcast.
Thank you very much, Jason. Thank you very much, John.
You're very welcome, mate. Thank you, dear listeners, for joining us, lending us your ears on today's episode. As always, we will be back next month. We'll try and bring you some humour next month.
Do you want to know my favourite joke at the moment?
Oh, yes, go for it.
Okay. Did you hear about the guy who invented the knock-knock joke?
He won shaking your head on an audio podcast, Jason. No, we didn't hear about the bloke who invented the knock-knock joke.
He won the Nobel Prize. Jason's on mute, which is probably the best.
Like some tumbleweed sound effects here, please.
The Nobel Prize, love it. Oh dear.
This is the problem, you see. This is the problem that I have to work with. I wonder if there's other people I could talk to about getting a 1% membership.
Gary V's always available. Thank you, buddy. See you later.
Bye.
So there we are, another episode in the can. How was it for you? Please let us know. However you listen to these podcasts, please leave a review on that platform. Let us know what we can do better, what you like, what you don't like, and how we can improve to make this show even better for you. We'll see you next time.